Tonight on Let It Rip.
For this to go up the way it's been going up, it is, it hurts.
With inflation already soaring, the Russian invasion of Ukraine has sent the price of gasoline to a record high. Now some state lawmakers say it's time to suspend the state fuel tax to give drivers a break. But first,
I tell my daughters, well, if rape is inevitable, you should just lie back and enjoy it. So that's not how we roll. That's not how I won this election.
That comment from a candidate for state rep sparking outrage here in Michigan and across the country. Robert Regan says he may regret the words he used, but refuses to apologize for his beliefs. Time to let it rip on the panel tonight. She's a microbiologist, a leader in Lansing. The Democrat from Livonia, State Rep Lori Pohutsky is here. And so is Tori Sachs, a lifelong Republican, executive director of the Michigan Freedom Fund. Plus the guru of public relations, Greg Bowens, whose clients include a long list of liberal causes and politicians. And as always, anchor attorney Charlie Langton. Of course, we invited RJ Regan to zoom in tonight. He declined, and so we begin with the Michigan Rescue Coalition and conservative talk show host Adam D'Angeli. Adam, he made those comments on your show. Do you agree with what he said?
What he said was, and people who can see the clip, I'm sure you'll play it for the audience, someone who was speaking extemporaneously, made a poor choice of analogy on the fly, and to top it off, misspoke himself. But that being said, the issue that we have is that the national news media has misreported what he actually said on our show.
But Tori, you were one of several Republicans who denounced Regan's statements, and yet he's blaming you for attacking a fellow conservative. How do you respond?
Look, I thought it was interesting that that gentleman wouldn't say what RJ Regan said. And any time, and for the viewers who haven't seen it, essentially he made a comment about what he would tell his daughters if rape was inevitable. And he told his daughters to lie back and take it.
That's
and
not
at
true.
no point that those were his words. And at no point, at no analogy, as a father, as a woman, as a human being on this planet, should you use those words. The only type of person that I know that thinks about like that has done very bad things. And he absolutely has no place in the Republican Party, and he should have no place in any political party in this country or in the state.
What you just said was untrue and defamatory. He said we do not roll that way, that he does not commit rape. In fact, he specifically said was to concede a stolen election would be as intolerable as consenting to rape. It came out poorly.
You're pathetic for defending him, and so is everyone else.
That's absolutely not what he said. I have watched that clip over and over, and that is not what he said.
He said we do not roll that way. It is ridiculous to think that any man.
He was saying that he wouldn't roll over on conceding an election. He did not say.
Absurd.
No, it's not. And you let him say it. Like, you're backtracking now, but he said it.
Do you know any man on this planet that would condone his daughters tolerating their raping? That is ludicrous. You know it. Tori Sachs knows.
Found one.
I'm glad you know my name now. But look, what we should be talking about here is this guy is pathetic. He should not be a state representative. He should not be representing anybody. In addition to his rape comments, he's made largely defamatory anti-Semitic comments. He's made disgusting comments about women. This is the guy whose own daughters begged people not to vote for him. And I'm so sorry to them that they're probably going through.
He's got to come out and say, I made a mistake. He's got to say the words were wrong. I haven't heard that. Unless I missed it, he's got to say those words were wrong, they're defamatory, and it's not right. If he doesn't say that, he should not be in the legislature.
And Tori's actually completely right. You know, I mean, obviously, there's been a lot of talk about the comments about, you know, rape and laying back and taking it. But there is a laundry list of things that he has said that make him unsuitable for the legislature and to represent people. He is anti.
I'm not here to defend him. I'm not his spokesman. Feel free to debate him on his comments. I'm not here to defend anything he said elsewhere.
That's fine. No one's talking about you right now.
I'm saying people are lying about what he said on my show.
They aren't. But
that's my concern.
Well, I imagine your concern is trying to backtrack.
We do not rule that way. The sentence isn't even logical in the context of what he was saying.
But Adam,
What he
it would
said was
help.
not
It would help if
logical.
R.J. Regan came out and said exactly what you're saying. But he hasn't. He has not said that he apologizes for the misunderstanding. Maybe he spoke the wrong words, used the wrong words, but he has not apologized for his beliefs, and that's understandable. Greg, let me bring you in.
I believe
here.
he's clarified his remarks elsewhere, but you're right. That's on him. That's not him.
That's on
and
him.
He's not my client.
Well,
But
Greg,
I
let me
don't
bring you
think
in.
it's sure.
You know,
Go ahead.
from a PR perspective, this is disastrous all the way around. This is something that should kill the campaign. On the other hand, you know, some people believe that any news is, you know, that gets their name out there and gets people talking about them is the kind of thing that they want to see happen. And so that's probably why you see some of this reluctance. Here you go this from the sleepy campaign to now making national news about these horrific remarks that were said on this show. However twisted you may want to be, or however the show's host may want to defend his segment on the show, you know, the fact of the matter is that had he not made those remarks, nobody would be talking about this guy at all. And so because he did, he's getting this attention. And there's hope on the one hand, seeing Republicans and Democrats come together to say that this kind of thing is unacceptable, means that we have not lost all of our civility in our society. And so I appreciate both of the state reps, you know, folks from the right and the left coming together to denounce this kind of thing. But, you know, let's be honest about it. Will we remember this in a month or 2 months, or by the time the election rolls around? The question might be out on that. Some people will just say, hey, yeah, I heard about that guy. And whether or not they have a negative feeling attached to his name is going to be the issue. And I'm betting that he's betting that by the time that time rolls around, people will just remember his name.
Greg, if he doesn't apologize, he is not going to be effective in the legislature. I am not in the legislature, but my thought here is that credibility means everything. Whether you're a Democrat or Republican, and you need to go across the aisle to get things done. And when you don't apologize for something that's we all agree is everyone agree on this.
Absolutely.
It's the wrong words, but he's got to come out and say, I made a mistake. Here's what I meant. Let's move on. And he didn't do that. It's going to hurt him in the legislature.
The people that we've seen in the legislature, we've seen people slap each other. We've seen guns drawn. We've seen all kinds of things in the state legislature. You know, he would just, to be honest with you, unless they like remove him if he gets elected, you know, otherwise he's just going to be there and just be a part of the show.
Lori, let me talk to you, because Regan is the same guy who has praised Putin. He is the same guy who has promoted ideas that feminism is some kind of Jewish program designed to degrade white men. This man could soon be your colleague in the state house. Are you concerned?
Of course I'm concerned. You know, Tori mentioned it's not just his recent comment about rape. He has been preaching dangerous and frankly violent rhetoric against the Jewish community, you know, saying that what's going on in Ukraine is a hoax. And yes, that, you know, feminism is some type of program created by the Jewish community. He has some very dangerous ideas, and I find him to be a dangerous and offensive person. But I also have Jewish colleagues who I know for a fact are concerned about their safety with you know, facing the idea of this man being elected in 2 months, because that's the other thing. We're talking about a special election. This is happening in May. So I'm hoping that, as Greg alluded to, voters will remember this. And the other thing is, I agree that it's great that there is, you know, talk on both sides of the aisle about how this is not appropriate and this is not acceptable and this man is not fit to serve. But I also hope that that translates to political donations. Because statements denouncing this man are one thing, but if Republican PACs are also bankrolling his special election, that only goes so far. So that remains to be seen.
Absolutely nobody has given that guy money.
Good. Thank you. I appreciate it.
But when you look at his base, when you look at the district in which he's running, he has a very good chance of winning. He's going to face Democrat Carol Glanville in May, but he's already won the Republican nomination. What does that tell you about the people who are voting for him?
I mean, my hope is that they hear what he's saying, and maybe, there wasn't a whole lot of looking into, previous campaigns of his where he'd been, spouting off some of these things. My hope is that the attention he's garnered with this will make people rethink voting for him in May. That's my hope.
I think the real problem for all of us, though, Charlie, is that we can't seem to agree on what's true. And we're seeing that play out in politics, but also in the trial of the 4 men accused of plotting to kidnap the governor.
I think on this governor issue, this is why we have trials, because there is an issue of entrapment. The issue for the jury is who are the ringleaders in this particular allegation that these 4 people wanted to kidnap the governor. Now, the state has, the government has brought in a lot of witnesses. They've got FBI agents. They've got a lot of resources. They show that these 4 had the means in which to actually kidnap the governor. That's very disturbing. However, the defense is basically saying that these people were stone crazy talk. Everything they did, they wanted to attach the governor to a kite and fly her out of Michigan. Well, that's weird, but that's the defense. And if you're weird on certain things, you could not possibly have the insight to actually kidnap the governor. Listen, this is why we have trials. And these people are saying we didn't do anything wrong. We're just crazy talk. We like to smoke pot and crazy talk. That's why we have trials. I don't know what's going on. Otherwise, but the jury will, and they'll hear all of the evidence in this 4-week trial.
So some of those people were the same people that stormed the Lansing Capitol on April 30th back in 2020. And I cannot speak as to whether or not they would have successfully been able to kidnap the governor. But what I can tell you is there have been text messages that have been revealed that once they realized the governor doesn't actually work in the Capitol, their plan B that day was to take us hostage and assassinate us on television. And they absolutely had the means to do that because they brought weapons into the Capitol. They stormed the Capitol. They blocked us from getting out. I was one of them. I was trapped up in the gallery that day. So it is a little bit beside the point to me as to whether or not they would have been able to, take the governor on a boat out to the middle of one of the Great Lakes and carry out that part of the plan. They absolutely had the means and the motive to do some type of violence, both against legislators, other officials, and the governor herself. So whether or not this exact plan was ever going to come to fruition, they absolutely had the ability to enact violence and intended to do so.
It makes a huge difference, however, if the FBI goaded them into doing it.
Well, look, that's all the time we have for this segment, panel. Coming up, competing plans to reduce the sky-high price of gasoline. Everybody wants to cut taxes, but which ones? That and more as Let It Rip continues. Welcome back to The Rip. You've already heard from Lori, Tori, Greg, and Charlie. We begin this segment with the Republican state senator from White Lake, Jim Runstead. So, Jim, in your opinion, what is the best way to get some temporary relief from our pain at the pump?
Well, Huel, what the governor was doing is asking the feds to reduce the gas tax. She has no control over that. It's a giant, big leviathan that who knows if you could ever do that. But where we can do it is at the state level. So we have a proposal to get rid of the gas tax from I think it was from April through September, and that will give tax relief off of the price of gas for all those motorists who are suffering this Biden exploding almost 8%, I heard, inflation rate. Gas has been going up for 6 months. And I know he's just, it's all Ukraine. No. It's only been a couple of weeks. So we're trying to get a real tax relief plan for those who are paying these exploding gas prices at the pump.
Well, Jim, you're talking about what a cut of some 27 cents. I understand the federal tax is about 18 cents. So, Lori, what about cutting both?
I mean, look, cutting taxes is great unless you actually want to fund things. And for the record, the sales tax on gasoline here in Michigan, the 27 cents, which, as you said, is a greater number than 18 cents at the federal level, understood, but it's not a percentage basis. So it's important to note that even if gas gets more expensive, it's 27 cents across the board. Now, the proposal that we voted on yesterday alleged that at some point there would be some type of backfilling because this would create over a $700 million hole in funding. And that goes towards things like roads, everyone's kind of upset about the roads right now, understandably so. I know a lot of people have lost tires in some of these potholes. Suspending that for 6 months will create a $700 million plus deficit. And there was talk of backfilling that out of the general fund. We rushed through a bill yesterday to cut the gas tax, suspend the gas tax, but without anything to backfill it. So my concern is, if we are so dead set on backfilling it, which is great, you would have had my support if we had something to, fill that hole that we are going to create. But if we're rushing through one bill to suspend it, why can't we rush through another bill to backfill it? We have the money. We have billions and billions of dollars from the federal government that is just sitting, waiting to be appropriated.
Will
Those dollars are use it or lose it.
Will Democrats support taking money from the general fund, from the rainy day fund, to backfill the money that motorists can save on the gas tax?
Yeah, if there'd been a way to backfill it, that would have been an entirely different conversation. I know for a fact there were many people who voted no that would have voted yes if there had actually been legislation other than a pinky promise. That's not going to cut it. We could have drafted that bill. We could have voted on it yesterday.
And Tori, there's a third option too.
There's a third and a fourth option, Huel. The third option is there's an income tax cut sitting on the governor's desk right now. It would lower the income tax rate for every single taxpayer in the state. It would create a $500 child tax credit per dependent, and it would lower the age for seniors to age 62 and exempt more of their income from state income taxes. That passed with bipartisan support in the House. It passed the Senate. It's on the governor's desk. She could sign it right now. The other option, the fourth option,
tax actually is
it's reducing the income tax rate for everybody who pays
right.
But the fourth option is to get rid of the sales tax on gas. And Nolan Finley has a good article about this in the Detroit News, which we pay a 6% sales tax for every dollar of gas. So as gas gets more expensive, we pay a sales tax on that. It would be great to also eliminate that. And keep the money from gas taxes that go to fixing the roads. If you keep that but eliminate the sales tax, you'll save more money. But immediately we could pass an income tax cut that's retroactive to earlier this year that would give people relief straight away.
That income tax cut, by the way, for the lowest earners in Michigan would save them $12 a year. For the average Michigander, it would save them $92 a year. And for the top 1% of earners in the state of Michigan, that's when we'd start saving thousands of dollars a year. So that $92 won't even buy you a tire.
You're totally missing the $500 child per tax credit. Are you just ignoring that that's in the bill?
No, you're talking about the income tax credit. Unfortunately,
there's three things in the bill, Representative. Surely you read it before you voted no on it.
Unfortunately, you can't vote on one part of a bill when they're all in there together. But so
you voted no on the income tax cut, which is also a child tax credit, which is also raises the amount of money, the exemption for seniors. You voted no on that. That's fine that you voted no on it, but just tell people that you voted no. All three things were in the bill and you voted no.
You follow me on Twitter. You know I said that.
You would think as we approach November, everybody would want to cut taxes. Every politician would want to cut taxes as we approach elections. You would think that's true. But, I've heard from one oil guy who says he doesn't want to go public, but he tells me that most oil companies already have hundreds of leases. They could drill at any minute, but they're not going to do that because they're making so much money now in this high demand, low supply environment where there's a war going on that has changed the world. What do you think about that, Dan?
The price per barrel is going down. It has gone down over the last week. Gas prices at the pump are going up. It's not just because they have to charge as much as they are. They're doing it to cut a profit. That's where the real problem is.
That's a ridiculous comment. If you know anything about the price of gas and how it works, it's fluctuating all the time because this week, the price per gallon of the gallon or the barrel went down, but the price at the pump went up. The gas prices fluctuate all over the place. It's a competitive marketplace. If the money is there to start drilling, there is all kinds of companies that will start drilling. But we have a problem with this administration, the Biden administration, curtailing the United States production of oil. Nobody can dispute that. Closing down pipelines. The governor also wants to close down Line 5. That's going to explode costs here in Michigan. The pipeline that produces so much energy for Michigan, she wants to close it down. That's going to explode the inflation, explode the price of gas for Michiganders. That's her plan for energy.
You're being
All right,
so
Greg,
disingenuous.
Greg, go ahead,
That
answer.
Line 5 pipeline is not going to do anything. Look, what I'm really surprised is that as we come out of this pandemic, we don't seem to be remembering the lessons of the pandemic. What did we do during the pandemic? We traveled less. We stayed closer to home. We wrapped our arms around the people that we love. And
We
so
closed
demand-
gyms, and now, hey, there's a
and
study
so-
out
and
today
so
that shows that if you live a healthy lifestyle, you were
there's
better off.
demand to get away from Tory socks and go on vacation. I get it. At the same
Gretchen
time,
went on vacation,
at the
Greg,
same
and told
time-
us to
at
stay
the same-
home.
You know, can you let someone else talk, or no? You're just going to keep interrupting because that's what you guys do. Listen,
You
know,
wouldn't talk to a man that way. You're so pathetic.
well, absolutely. I just told the state rep the same thing.
Yeah.
So
He's a state senator, but yeah.
State rep, state senator. I'm sorry, I apologize. State senator. You get what I'm saying. So
Make
yes, I
your
would.
point.
My point is simply this: is that the demand ebbs and flows, and we have been pent up for a long time. The question, or the jury, is still out as to whether or not people are going to hit those record numbers as they did before the pandemic. I think that there are some lasting effects of the pandemic, and they're going to impact the market. Now, how we talk about this becomes really important. How we discuss this issue becomes really important. And it doesn't do anybody any favors to say things like keeping Line 5 shut down is going to drive up the price of gas when we know that's not true.
It is true.
It's absolutely not true.
But
So on day one of the Biden administration,
that's like talking about the Keystone Pipeline should be, just turn it on.
But the reality, but great, but the reality is that the dependence on the United States oil from Russia, which is the big problem here, is about 8%. It's
Right.
not that much.
Nope.
And so why are these prices going up so high right now? It's beyond me. It seems that there are a lot of companies that have a stockpile of oil that just want to hold it there and release it when they think the market will bear. And they're blaming the war on Russia. We just are not dependent that much on Russian oil. There's a problem there.
No.
Prices, the war's too,
Which is exactly, Charlie, what the oil guy is telling me.
no, the
They've got
Democrats
the
are
oil and they've
blaming
got money.
Russia. Gas was at
Yeah.
195 in November 2020 in Michigan. I looked it up before the show. 195. Before Russia invaded Ukraine, we were at 350. Gas was spiking the entire time. It's because day one of the Biden administration, they shut off all permits. They seized all land permits of federal oil drilling. They stopped all drilling. They stopped all permitting. Just because you have a permit, Huel, doesn't mean that there's any oil in there. And if they stopped exploration, which they did on day one, that means that they don't know. These companies don't even know if there's oil in there or not. You have to be able to explore it to see if there's oil in there. We know where there's oil. We know where there's oil, and the Biden administration won't let us drill there.
Well, look, panel, we have not solved the problem tonight, but I know one thing for sure. The uncertainty of the war in Ukraine, no matter who wins, no matter who loses, the world has changed forever. Thank you for your comments. Final thoughts next. I have a final thoughts. Lori, your turn.
Look, I understand that folks are feeling it at the pump. I am too. And I welcome any solution that is not short-sighted enough that it's going to blow a hole in our revenue and disinvest from projects that we really, really need to keep focusing on. So I welcome any of those ideas.
Tori.
The state has billions of dollars in surplus. The governor's administration gave out $8 billion in fraudulent unemployment payments, hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxpayer-funded hush money payments to both of her former unemployment and health directors. There's an income tax cut bill sitting on the governor's desk. It's time to sign it. It's time to give relief to people immediately, and the governor could do that today.
Greg.
Hey, I appreciate everything that the governor is doing in terms of trying to address these challenges that people are facing, these kitchen table issues. I hope that we all learn lessons from the pandemic, and that is, stay home, stay close to the people that you love. You don't have to drive and fly everywhere in the world right now. If we can reduce the demand, we can reduce the supply.
Jim.
Michiganders, the gas prices are exploding. Inflation is raging. This has been going on before this Russian invasion. The Republican plan is to reduce your gas tax. We have $4 billion to do it, and I believe the governor will not sign it. She wants you to go buy a $100,000 electric vehicle and solve the problem.
And I want to say that I stand with Ukraine and with the refugees in Africa and Central Asia too. They too deserve our attention and support. Thank you for watching this edition of Let It Rip.